If your phone rang at 2:17 a.m. and the caller's location was the basement beneath your own building, would you answer? It was 2:17 in the morning when the call came in. The night shift at the emergency dispatch center was usually quiet. Most calls were routine, noise complaints, false alarms, the occasional drunk driver. Nothing unusual, nothing that kept me awake after my shift ended. That night felt different. The building was almost empty. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead, and dozens of monitors filled the room with a cold blue glow. I sat alone at my desk, scrolling through reports. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. That wasn't normal. Every incoming emergency call should display a location. Every call. I hesitated before answering. 911, what's your emergency? For a moment, there was only silence. Then I heard breathing. Slow. Uneven, as if someone was hiding. Hello? The breathing continued. My fingers tightened around the receiver. Then a woman whispered, "Please don't let him find me." A chill ran down my spine. "Ma'am, where are you?" The woman sounded terrified. "I don't know how much time I have." "Who are you hiding from?" The line crackled. Then she spoke again. "He's walking toward me." My heart started pounding. "Tell me your location." Several seconds passed. Then she whispered something that made my blood run cold. "The basement." I frowned. "What basement?" "The basement beneath the dispatch center." I froze. The dispatch center. My building. The place where I was sitting right now. I immediately checked the caller information. Maybe the system was wrong. Maybe it was a technical error. But the screen showed only one location. Caller location, dispatch center basement. I stared at it. The basement had been abandoned for years. Nobody worked down there. Nobody was supposed to be down there. Then the woman started crying. Softly at first, then louder and louder. Suddenly she gasped, a sharp breath, as if she had just seen something. "What happened?" I asked. No answer, only silence. Then a whisper, so quiet I almost missed it. "He's here." The line went dead. I slowly lowered the phone. The room felt colder, much colder. I looked toward the security monitors. Every screen appeared normal. Every screen except one. A camera feed I had never noticed before. At the end of a dark basement hallway stood a figure, motionless, watching. And then, the figure smiled. To be continued? The phone had been disconnected for years. So who was calling from the basement? I stared at the monitor. The figure was still there, standing at the end of the basement hallway, motionless, watching. A chill ran through my body. I rubbed my eyes and looked again. The screen flickered, and suddenly, the figure was gone. The hallway was empty. I immediately called Mike, the building's night security guard. 10 minutes later, he arrived in the dispatch room. I showed him the caller information, the woman's warning, the basement location, and the camera feed. Mike didn't look convinced, until he saw the screen himself. "That's impossible," he muttered. "That's what I thought." After a moment, he grabbed his flashlight. "Let's go check." The basement entrance was located beneath the main stairwell. The metal door looked ancient. Rust covered the hinges. As Mike pulled it open, a wave of freezing air rushed out. The smell of dust and mold filled the hallway. Neither of us wanted to go down there. But we did. Our flashlights cut through the darkness as we slowly descended the stairs. The basement was silent. Too silent. No machinery. No humming lights. Nothing. Only our footsteps echoing through the corridor. The hallway stretched endlessly ahead. It looked exactly like the one from the security camera. We searched every room. Storage closets, maintenance areas, old offices. Nobody, no woman, no sign that anyone had been there. Then we heard it. Ring, ring, ring. A telephone, somewhere in the darkness. Mike stopped walking. "Tell me that's not what I think it is." The ringing continued. Ring, ring, ring. We followed the sound. At the end of the corridor sat an old wooden desk covered in dust. And on top of it, a telephone, an old landline phone, disconnected, forgotten. Yet somehow, it was ringing. Mike slowly approached it. The ringing stopped. For a moment, everything was silent. Then it rang again, louder this time. Ring, ring, ring. Mike swallowed hard, then picked up the receiver. Immediately, his face went pale. His eyes widened. "What is it?" I asked. He didn't answer. His hand began shaking. "What do you hear?" Several seconds passed before he finally spoke. His voice was barely a whisper. "Someone's talking." "Who?" Mike slowly turned toward me. The fear in his eyes was something I'd never seen before. Then he said the words that made my blood run cold. It was my voice. I stared at him. "What?" "The voice on the phone." He stepped away from the desk. It sounded exactly like me. Before I could respond, the telephone rang again. And this time, a small display screen lit up. "Incoming call. Location, basement level." The ringing echoed through the darkness, and neither of us wanted to answer it. "To be continued." The voice on the phone was his own, but what we found the next day was even worse. Neither of us answered the second call. Mike simply dropped the receiver and backed away from the desk. The phone continued ringing, over and over, echoing through the basement. Finally, we left. Neither of us said much on the way upstairs. Something about that phone felt wrong. Very wrong. The next afternoon, I returned to the dispatch center early. I needed answers. The woman's voice. The basement call. The telephone. None of it made sense. So I went to the building archives. Deep inside the records room were thousands of old emergency call recordings. Most were decades old. Dust covered nearly everything. I searched the database for unusual calls linked to the basement. At first, nothing appeared. Then I found a file, dated October 14, 2009. 16 years ago, the recording was marked Unresolved Incident. I clicked play. Static filled the speakers. Then, a woman's voice. My blood ran cold. It was the same voice, exactly the same. The same fear, the same panic. The same words, "Please don't let him find me." I paused the recording. My hands were shaking. That call should have been impossible. The woman had spoken to me last night, yet this recording was over a decade old. I kept listening. The dispatcher on the recording sounded nervous. He repeatedly asked for her location. Then suddenly, the call ended. The recording stopped. I checked the file information. The dispatcher handling the call had a name. Daniel Brooks. I searched the employee records. A photo appeared on the screen. Maley, early 30s, night shift dispatcher, employed until October 2009. Then I noticed something strange. His employment file ended abruptly. No resignation, no termination. Just one word, missing. My stomach tightened. Daniel Brooks had disappeared the same night that call was recorded. No body was ever found. No suspect was identified. He simply vanished. Then I discovered another document, a handwritten report from one of Daniel's co-workers. Most of it was unreadable, but one sentence stood out. Daniel kept saying someone was speaking through the emergency lines. I stared at the note. Someone speaking through the lines. The woman's voice. The basement phone. The figure on the monitor. Suddenly my computer screen flickered. Once, twice. Then a notification appeared. A new audio file had been added. Just seconds ago, my heart began pounding. I opened it. The timestamp showed 2:17 a.m. last night. The recording started. Static, breathing, then my own voice. 911, what's your emergency? I froze. It was my call. The call I'd received the night before. But then something happened that I didn't remember. After the woman whispered, "He's here." Another voice appeared. A man's voice. Deep, distorted, whispering directly into the phone. 3 words. "I'm still here." The recording ended. And at that exact moment, the lights in the archive room went out. The lights went out, and something started moving in the dark. The archive room was completely black. Every light in the building seemed to die at once. I froze. The only sound was my own breathing. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Somewhere inside the room. My heart slammed against my chest. "Who's there?" I shouted. No answer. The footsteps stopped. Silence. I quickly turned on my phone flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness. Rows of dusty shelves stretched in every direction. Empty. No one was there. At least that's what I thought. Then my light landed on something strange. A door. A metal door hidden behind a shelf. I'd worked in the building for almost 3 years. I had never seen it before. The door shouldn't have existed. Curiosity overcame fear. I walked closer. The metal surface was covered in rust. A faded sign hung from the center. Authorized personnel only. My stomach tightened. The archive blueprint never mentioned this room, so why was it here? I grabbed the handle. Locked, but the lock looked old. Very old, as if nobody had opened it in years. Then I noticed something lying on the floor. A key, directly beneath the door, almost as if someone had left it for me. I stared at it for several seconds. Then I picked it up. The key fit perfectly. Click. The lock opened. A cold gust of air escaped from inside. The smell was awful. Dust, mold, something rotten. I slowly pushed the door open. Beyond it was a narrow staircase leading underground, far below the basement. Somewhere the building plans didn't show. I hesitated. Every instinct told me to leave. Instead, I went down. The stairs seemed endless. 1 floor, 2 floors, 3 floors, deeper than the basement itself. Finally, I reached the bottom. A long hallway stretched ahead. Concrete walls, no windows, no signs, only darkness. Then my flashlight landed on a name painted across the wall. Daniel Brooks, the missing dispatcher. My pulse quickened. Someone had written the name dozens of times, over and over, covering the entire corridor. Daniel Brooks, Daniel Brooks, Daniel Brooks. Then I saw another message, written beneath the names. He never left. My hands started shaking. Suddenly, a phone began ringing. Somewhere at the end of the hallway. The same phone ring from the basement. The same one. The ringing echoed through the darkness, waiting, calling me closer. I slowly aimed my flashlight forward. At the very end of the corridor stood a desk, and sitting on that desk was a glowing red telephone, still ringing, still waiting for someone to answer. The red phone had been ringing for years. Nobody knew who was calling. The glowing red telephone continued ringing. Its sound echoed through the underground corridor, slow, patient, as if it knew I would answer. I stood frozen at the end of the hallway. Every instinct told me to run. Instead, I stepped closer. The desk was covered in dust, but the telephone looked brand new. Not a single scratch, not a single sign of age. The ringing stopped. Silence filled the corridor. Then the phone screen lit up. Incoming call. Caller. Unknown. My hands trembled. Slowly, I reached for the receiver. The moment I touched it, the phone answered itself. Static exploded from the speaker. Then came a voice. A man's voice. Weak. Exhausted. I knew you'd find this place. My heart nearly stopped. Who is this? A long pause followed. Then the answer came. Daniel Brooks. I stared at the phone. The missing dispatcher. The man who vanished 16 years ago. That's impossible. A dry laugh came through the line. That's what I thought too. The voice sounded broken, like someone who hadn't slept in years. Daniel, where are you? Another pause. Then he whispered, I'm still here. The corridor suddenly felt colder. What do you mean? The static grew louder. Then Daniel spoke again. The emergency lines aren't for people anymore. A chill ran through my body. What are you talking about? You've heard her, haven't you? The woman. The same terrified woman. The same voice from every recording. Who is she? For several seconds, Daniel said nothing. Then he answered. The first caller. My stomach tightened. The first caller? The first person who ever called this line. The lights overhead flickered. Once, twice. Then darkness swallowed the hallway. Only the red glow from the telephone remained. Daniel's voice returned. She never escaped. My pulse raced. Escaped what? The line crackled violently. Then I heard something else. Breathing. Not Daniel's breathing, someone else's. Standing very close to the phone. Listening. Waiting. Daniel suddenly sounded terrified. You need to leave. What? Right now. The breathing became louder. Much louder. As if whoever was making it was directly beside me. Then Daniel shouted, He found you. The line went dead. The red light disappeared. Complete darkness surrounded me. Then I heard footsteps. Not behind me. Not in front of me. Everywhere. Something was moving through the underground hallway. And it was getting closer. Very slowly. Very deliberately. Coming for me. Daniel Brooks wasn't warning me about the caller. He was warning me about what was coming. The footsteps echoed through the underground corridor. Slow. Heavy. Getting closer. I couldn't see anything. The flashlight had died. The overhead lights were gone. Only darkness remained. Then I heard Daniel's voice again. Not from the phone. From somewhere behind me. "Run!" I spun around. Nothing. Just darkness. The footsteps stopped. For a moment, everything became silent. Then the emergency phone rang again. The red glow returned. The receiver slowly lifted on its own, as if an invisible hand had picked it up. A woman's voice came through. Soft, broken, crying, "Please help me." My blood ran cold. It was the same woman. The voice from every recording. The voice from every impossible call. "Who are you?" I asked. The crying stopped. Then she whispered, "I was the first." A chill shot through my body. "The first what?" "The first caller." The lights above suddenly flickered. For a split second, the corridor lit up. And I saw her, standing at the far end of the hallway, a pale woman in an old emergency operator uniform. Her face was covered in blood. Then darkness returned. I nearly dropped the phone. The woman continued speaking. "They trapped me here." My breathing became shallow. "Who trapped you?" Silence. Then one word. "Him!" A loud crash echoed somewhere behind me. I turned. The darkness moved. Something was standing there now, watching. The woman's voice became frantic. "You have to leave." "What is this place?" The line crackled. Then she answered. "This isn't a dispatch center." Another flicker. This time I saw old walls beneath the concrete. Ancient walls, far older than the building itself. The woman whispered, "They built the station on top of it." My pulse raced. On top of what? The entire corridor shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Then the woman screamed, "Don't let him see you!" The lights flashed one final time, and I saw it, standing only a few feet away. A tall figure, too tall. Its head nearly touched the ceiling. Its skin looked black as burned paper. Its eyes glowed white, and its smile stretched impossibly wide. The same smile from every nightmare. The same smile from every report. The same smile that made Daniel Brooks disappear. The creature slowly tilted its head, looking directly at me. Then it spoke. Not loudly, not angrily. Almost gently. "I found you." The emergency phone exploded with static. The lights went out, and something grabbed my shoulder. The creature finally found me, but I was never the real target. Something grabbed my shoulder. Ice-cold fingers dug into my skin. I spun around. Nothing. The corridor was empty. The creature was gone. The woman was gone. Then every light suddenly switched on. A loud alarm echoed through the underground facility. "Emergency alert! Emergency alert!" The walls began shaking. Cracks spread across the ceiling. Then dozens of monitors flickered to life. Every screen displayed the same message. "Final call in progress." My heart pounded. Suddenly the red telephone appeared again. Ringing, I slowly picked up the receiver. Static filled the line. Then Daniel Brooks spoke. "You don't have much time." "Daniel, what is happening?" A pause. Then he answered. "The thing you saw isn't a ghost." My stomach tightened. "Then what is it?" "It feeds on fear." The pale woman suddenly appeared beside the desk. The first caller. She pointed toward a steel door at the end of the corridor. "Central switch room," she whispered. "That's where it began." Then the creature appeared behind her. Its glowing eyes burned through the darkness. Its smile stretched wider than ever. The woman screamed. Everything shook violently. I ran. The creature followed. Its footsteps thundered behind me. Closer, closer, closer. I reached the steel door. Locked. Then Daniel shouted through the phone. "Use the key!" The old key. The one I found behind the hidden door. My shaking hands pulled it from my pocket. I shoved it into the lock. Click! The door opened. I rushed inside. Ancient equipment filled the room. At the center stood a massive switchboard. And attached to it, a human skeleton wearing an operator headset, the first caller's real body. The creature slammed against the doorway. Daniel's voice echoed through the phone. "Disconnect the line." I grabbed the main cable. The creature stepped closer. Its glowing eyes locked onto mine. 10 feet away, 5 feet away. Then I pulled with all my strength. The cable ripped free. Instantly, every light went out. The creature froze. Its smile vanished. A deafening scream echoed through the underground facility. Then everything collapsed into darkness. Silence. When I opened my eyes, I was outside the building. Emergency crews surrounded the area. The underground section had collapsed. No red telephone. No hidden corridor. No creature. Nothing. Weeks later, investigators searched the site. They found no secret rooms, no records of Daniel Brooks, no records of the first caller. It was as if none of them had ever existed. But sometimes, late at night, my phone rings from an unknown number. And when I answer, a woman whispers, "Thank you." Then the line goes dead.